Are you a hardworking doctor who wants to live a great life without the stress of managing your finances? Training to become a doctor is a monumental task, and as you transition into practice, you face new workloads and major life decisions. Financial planning becomes crucial, but knowing where to start can be overwhelming. That's where Ren Financial Planning comes in. Ren Financial Planning helps doctors use money as a tool to live great lives.
With Rand Financial Planning, you can stop stressing about finances and instead focus on what matters most. They understand the challenges you face, and that's why they're here to handle the details and solidify a financial plan that keeps you in control without having to manage all the specifics. And here's the best part. Rand Financial Planning offers a transparent pricing model. Say goodbye to hidden fees, kickbacks, or commissions. With their flat fee model, you'll know exactly what to expect.
At Ren Financial Planning, it's about more than just your money. Their team is dedicated to helping you make smarter financial decisions that align with your vision of a fulfilling life. So if you're a doctor ready to live a great life without the stress of managing your finances, reach out to the team at Ren Financial Planning today. Click the link in the show notes now to schedule a no-cost triage meeting with one of their planners to discuss how they might be able to help.
Finally, a source of raw, real, and honest information on healthcare issues that matter most. Welcome to BS Free MD. From the latest medical information to how to stay sane as a doctor or a patient, no subject is taboo, no BS is allowed. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Doctors May and Tim Hindmarsh.
Okay, here we are back again for another truth bomb.
Bomb of the week.
Bomb of the week. Yeah, I hope it doesn't bomb. Yeah, I've been obsessed with this whole concept of like expiration date for different things and how stuff works until it doesn't work, but somehow we keep doing it even in the lack of an obvious, it's like this isn't working, but we keep doing it. It drives me absolutely crazy. So, because things change. We used to have
Imagine that.
We used to have bows and arrows and swords, and then somebody came up and figured out firearms and then machine guns, and all of a sudden it's like what we were doing before doesn't work anymore. And World War I was the great example of when technologies met. And right before, at the very beginning of World War I, there was still British generals writing about how in the history of human warfare, horses would never become something that wasn't absolutely critical to warfare. Well, horses became hamburger in World War I. They were mowed down by machine guns and airplanes. And it was like in 4 years, this entire history of military strategy just went away. And it's because shit works till it doesn't. And that's an obvious example of, oh boy, we have to change course because what we're doing now militarily doesn't work. But I think there's a lot of stuff, especially in the healthcare world, that's really subtle that we need to pay attention to, because it's like, well, we've done it like this for so long. We have to keep doing it that way.
And it's pretty much the dogma amongst the majority and what we learn in school.
Well, it is.
And what keeps happening.
I mean, I think
this is the way it's done.
Right. I think the biggest obvious example, and again, we don't have a specific answer for this because it's almost unknowable, but at least we have to ask the questions, because then we have a hope of getting an answer. Is there seems to be way more chronic illness. People are way sicker chronically with chronic illnesses, allergy, asthma, autoimmune disorders than ever in history. But we have way more pills. So obviously, way more pills isn't working. More healthcare isn't working. And so, but yet it's like everyone needs healthcare. Everyone needs health insurance. Why? So we can fill people up with SSRIs, with useless treatments, with way too many antibiotics. Like it's obviously not working. People that do.
Well, they think they're going to be missing out on something And actually, I'm just thinking maybe it's better if they are missing out on something.
Right. Obviously, big stuff you got to have covered.
Right.
You rupture your appendix, you need a surgery. You get cancer, you want to have treatment. You need a bypass. But there's so much that we can do that doesn't require any of these things. But there's
so much that we do. I think that we get stuck in our old ways and either harm people with doing, putting them on med after medication. I mean, how many people don't know people that are on so many pills and a big long laundry list, longer than Santa's Christmas shopping list, because one pill begets another because of a side effect, and you give another pill to prevent or stop that side effect. And it goes on and on and on to the point where we don't even sit back and look at what we're doing, and we're doing more harm to people. And we're thinking that going to the doctor is helpful.
Well, and it just blows my mind because it's like, it's not working. So take, for instance, processed food, right? When it started, I was about 120-ish, 100 to 120-ish years ago, around 1900. I mean, it absolutely saved people's lives, saves millions and millions of people's lives, because it replaced potentially rotten food with food that had some preservatives, that had quality control in its manufacture. It allowed people to go to work in factories. It allowed people to live in cities. I mean, it was really a massive undertaking. But now what happens, you fast forward about 70, 75 years, and we go from processed food that keeps people going and builds this vibrant economy to ultra processed food with tons of high fructose corn syrup, with tons of seed oils. And now we're just producing super tasty poison that's unbelievably cheap to produce and wildly profitable. So it worked till it didn't work. Processed food worked till it didn't work. Now it's not working because now it's ultra processed food. Like, I would like to go back to 1975 and eat a Big Mac and have like Time Warp Big Mac and regular Big Mac and see how different they taste. Because I guarantee you they taste different. To have Time Warp Coke and like, it's different because they keep making it cheaper and cheaper, which means they're adding more crap to it. The other one, close to home for us with all of our interviews with Sabine Hazen is antibiotics. We give antibiotics for everything. Antibiotics saved millions and millions, potentially billions of people. In 1900, William Osler, it was right around 1900, William Osler said, pneumonia is the captain of the man of death. People got a respiratory infection and they died. And that killed people of all ages, usually older people. It used to be called old man's friend. You'd get old and disabled, you'd get pneumonia, you just fall asleep and die. Now it's an inconvenience that we can treat in an urgent care pretty easily for most pneumonias. Okay, that's a good thing. But should we be treating strep throat? It's a self-limited illness where the only difference between treating and not treating it is 48 hours of sore throat. I don't want 48 hours of sore throat, but is the cost of the treatment downstream worth the benefit? Honestly, I don't know, but it's not going to be studied. I can guarantee you that. How many ear infections should we be treating? I don't know. Right. And then it gets to the most obvious one, which is vaccines. And people go, yeah, well, we got rid of smallpox. And I'm like, okay, and you have taken a smallpox vaccine? And the answer is, well, no, because we haven't been giving smallpox vaccines for the last, 50 years or so? Why? Well, because it actually worked. So there is no smallpox because sanitation and vaccination worked. So then if that's the case, and if it's the obvious case that the single most important thing in the history of public health is water treatment plants and clean water and no sewage in the streets, aka George Waring, as we talked about in another show, why are kids getting 72 shots by the time they're 18? For what? For these massive outbreaks of all this infectious disease? It's like, it doesn't, like, again, I'm not saying which ones are good and which one's bad. And I'm not being the tribal anti-vax guy. I'm asking the question. It's like,
I think it's driven by fear of the past, because people assume and think that if they don't continue to do that, it will go back to the way it was.
Yeah, but it's not the way it was. And that's because it's the Tim Hindmarsh principle of shit works till it doesn't. And maybe it's not working. Maybe it's part of the problem, just like antibiotics, just like processed food, just like God knows what. We're going to do an episode at some time about the guy that saved 1 billion people. And that it's fascinating because he was one of the lead like genetic modifiers for Monsanto. Like he ran the GMO. I mean, you put GMO and Monsanto in a sentence and people, the RFK people, like their heads explode into 1 million pieces. But he saved 1 billion people by producing dwarf wheat that was resistant to heat and resistant to drought. And so that's a good thing. Now, does that mean genetically modifying every single thing we eat is a good thing? Well, of course not, because shit works until it doesn't work.
Well, and not even doesn't work, but now is doing more harm than what it was intended to be used for in the first place.
Well, right. It becomes poison. I was telling May, I said, I think I'll make a t-shirt that says the practice of medicine is the practice of precision poisoning. And it really is. As Paracelsus, loose translation of what Paracelsus, an ancient French physician, said, the difference between the poison and the cure is the dose. Mm-hmm. And it's really true, right? Like you look at chemotherapy. Yes. Chemotherapy is kill the cancer before you kill the patient.
Yes. And
then bring the patient back to life after you've almost killed them. Antibiotics, kill the microbe before you kill the good microbes, just kill the bad ones. I mean, it's precision poisoning. And we forget that because we look at medicine, we look at pills as these miracle things that do magic stuff.
Well, people are very unilateral in their thinking. It's either black or white. It's basically, this is a tool. It's only good because it's killing the bad things, but they never look to think that it could be causing harm on the other opposite side. So it's like this pill is now, like you said, you're taking this pill for an antibiotic or chemotherapeutic agent. It's killing the cancer, it's killing the bacteria, but you never stop to look and go, but if you take too much, is it doing something?
Right. And when you put it in all of the food that when every single, unless you grow it in your own garden or kill it yourself, basically everything you eat is got some kind of poison added to it. Like whether it's antibiotics, whether it's hormones in meat, whether it's the pesticides and herbicides that are sprayed on everything. And, is it working? The answer is something's not working when there's more pills and more sick people. Now it's working great for pharma, but that's not health. That's, I don't know what, it's some sort of gigantic business thing, but it's definitely not health. And so that's really it. I'm going to Jen Psaki circle back to the personal side of this and say, so what in your life are you doing that needs an expiration date? What are you doing in your own life that's not working anymore?
Love it. Yep. Take a look at your own life, apply this principle, and let us know. Reach out to us. And after that, we will be back next and bombs away. And now we'll end the show with a special shout out to our sponsor, Wren Financial Planning. Take control of your finances and live your best life with the team at Wren Financial Planning. They handle the details while you focus on what matters. Transparent pricing, personalized solution.
It's no secret that medicine is a bit uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS Free MD. See you next time.
But we try to keep BS Free MD as raw and real as possible. We can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bsfreemd.com.